Hello, everyone. So my name is Aliesha, and I work for the 4-H program in Columbus and in Platte County. And today we are going to be candling the eggs. I set the eggs in my incubator 2 weeks ago, and today I'm candling them on the 15th, and then they will start hatching on April 22nd. So last time I talked to you about the 3 things that I need to make sure to do in order for my baby chicks to develop and grow nice and healthy inside my shell. Now, if you were in the classroom, this is something that you would be responsible for as well. So think back to that lesson 2 weeks ago, and what might be those 3 things that we need to do to make sure our baby chicks develop correctly and in a healthy way. The first one would make sure the temperature is at 100 degrees Fahrenheit, and your incubator is set at 100 degrees, and it usually reads, my incubator usually reads about 99.9. We'd also need to turn them 3 times a day, and I've actually had my automatic turner plugged in, so it's been turning them for me, and that's something that you would have done in your classroom on the weekends, or if you had Easter break, or something like that. And then we also want to monitor the humidity, and that means making sure that there's water inside the incubator to keep the shell membrane soft so that my baby chicks can hatch. So today we're going to candle our eggs. And what do you think it means to candle our eggs? I'm going to be using a light, shining a light into the eggs so we can see the developing chicks. So I have this flashlight. It's just a normal flashlight, and it's an LED flashlight. And that's what I'm going to be using today to candle our eggs. So what are some things you might think we would want to look for? What will we see when we look inside those eggs with my flashlight? You might say things like, we might see the chick, you might see its eye or its beak. If you're lucky, you can even see it move. And the biggest thing we're looking for is blood vessels. So if you look at your wrist, you'll see kind of like the bluish green veins and blood vessels we have. And so what we're doing is we're looking for those inside our egg, and that tells us that there's a baby chick inside of there. Now, before we get too far, I want to make sure that you guys have something to write with. I want you, when I candle the eggs, I want you to keep track of how many different types of eggs we can find in our incubator, because there are 3 different types of eggs. There's 3 different types of eggs that could be inside my incubator. The first type of egg is a winner. So a winner is an egg that has a baby chick inside of it. So it means the baby chick is growing. And so here, where I'm circling on the screen, that is the baby chick. Now, our baby chicks in my eggs are going to look a lot bigger than this. This egg is about 7 days. Our eggs are 14. And so you can see this is where your baby chick's eye is, that dark spot, and then these things that kind of look like roots or tree branches, those are the blood vessels. And so we are going to be looking for blood vessels inside that egg. So when we think about how many winners are going to be in my incubator, I want you all to take a prediction. So write down how many winners do you think will be in my incubator? And to remind you, I have 18 eggs in my incubator right now. So think about how many winners will be in the incubator. The next type of egg is a quitter. And that is an egg where the baby chick started to develop, but then it just stopped. And we don't know why that happens. Sometimes they might not be developing correctly, or they might just not be strong enough to keep growing. And a sign where you might have a quitter is you see this circle that's kind of like a dark circle, and that is the blood vessel that started to develop and stopped. We could also see a dark mass or inside that egg without any blood vessels. And so that means that that quit. And like I said, we don't know why this happens. Sometimes it just does. But this is something that we would see in our incubator if there's a quitter. So again, like we did with winners, write down a prediction of how many quitters I might find in my incubator. How many quitters might I find in my incubator? Oops. And then the last one that we could have in our incubator is a yolker. And yolkers are eggs that were never fertile. They never had a baby chick in them at all. These eggs would be like the eggs you get from the grocery store. Okay, so these eggs would be ones that you get from the grocery store. So when I shine a light on these eggs, they are going to glow like a light bulb. Now, if you at home have some eggs, and with the help of an adult, you can shine a flashlight to see your egg glow like a light bulb too. So again, there's 18 eggs in my incubator. How many do you think will be yolkers? How many do you think will be yolkers? Okay, so now it is time to candle our eggs. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to shut the lights off in my office, and then I'm going to shine my flashlight on the eggs, and we're going to see how well we can see it on camera. I'll do my best to show you each egg. Some of the eggs, if you remember, they have darker shells. Okay, and so the ones that have dark shells are harder to see in with the flashlight, so we're going to try our best so that everybody can see at least one winner, and then if there are any quitters or yolkers. And what I'll be doing is I'll be keeping a tally of what I find in the incubator too, and you can do the same thing at home. So you can keep track with tally marks or however you want. You can keep track of how many winners, quitters, or yolkers are in my incubator. And if you remember, a tally mark is a mark like that. So you'll do for every one, you'll just make a mark. And then for the fifth one, you'll cross the middle and continue to keep going. So you can keep track of the winners, quitters, and the yolkers. Okay, so we're going to see how this goes. And so we're going to start with the first egg. So this is, oops, there, that might work. Okay. Can anybody tell what this one might be? I'll try and figure out the best way to, there we go, that's a little bit better. Do you see any blood vessels, or do we think it glows like a light bulb? And this one I would say glows like a light bulb. So this one would be a yolker. So we can write down 1 yolker. And that happens sometimes when my farmer, when she was picking up her eggs, she might have just picked up some eggs from the wrong pen. Okay, and this next one is also going to be, sorry, I'm trying to figure out the best way so you can see it without the flashlight. This one is also going to be a yolker. I don't see any blood vessels, and it kind of glows like a light bulb. So you can record yolker. Okay. So I just candled all of my eggs, all 18 of them, and unfortunately, oops. So I just quickly candled all 18 eggs, and I wasn't finding any winners. So unfortunately, all of these eggs turned out to be yolkers, and we might have had a few quitters in there. And this can happen. It might have been a bad batch from my farmer, And that can happen. I had this happen in some classrooms my first year I did this program. It can also be because maybe they set too long before I put them in the incubator. These were at the extension office the week that schools started doing school from home, and I put them in the incubator at the beginning of April because I just had them at the office, so I could do these videos for you guys. And that might have been too long to have them sit. You know, we say that your baby chick starts to grow when we add heat, and my baby chicks just didn't start to grow. And that happens. So I apologize, you won't get to see any baby chicks hatch, but I will share some links with you to another extension office who has some videos, and you'll get to see some baby chicks hatch. So if I did have baby chicks that were gonna hatch out of my eggs, I wanna make sure I have some things ready for them. So starting on day 18, which would have been Sunday, I would have unplugged my automatic turner and made sure there was a lot of water inside my incubator. When a baby chick starts to hatch, the baby chick will poke at the shell. Well, first they will break the air cell and start breathing on their own. If you've ever cracked open an egg, look inside that shell and it kind of looks like a bubble or balloon. They will pop that and they will start to breathe on their own. Once that is popped, they will start to talk to one another inside that shell, even though you might not see any holes in the shell. And then when they go to hatch, they will go break at the shell. So they'll poke at the shell, they'll scoot back, take a break, poke at the shell again, scoot back, take a break until they're completely out of the shell. Now this could take your baby chicks 20 minutes, or it could take all day. A lot of times in the classroom, if you are really loud that day, the baby chick might not hatch until you all go home, and only your teacher will get to see it hatch. So it just depends on the environment that they are in and how noisy it is. If you were in the classroom, or if I had baby chicks hatching at home and I saw them hatching, do you think that I should help them? We do not want to help those baby chicks when they're hatching because they are still taking in their food. And if you remember their food, that is their yolk. So they're still absorbing all of their yolk as they hatch. And if we help them, we won't know if they're strong enough to survive or if they've gotten all their food. Now, if I would have had these baby chicks, I would have to have a place to put them after they hatched. I can't just leave them in the incubator. So I would need to find a box. So I could use a cardboard box or a plastic tote. You don't need to put a lid on it because they should be tall enough that your baby chicks can't get out. I would need to put newspaper on the bottom. I would need to put water in there and feed in there. And I have so here at home, this would be my water, and this would be my feeder. And what it is it's a jar, kind of like a little mason jar. It's just a plastic one. You fill this with feed and put it on top. And then the feed comes down here. And you do the same thing with the water. It unscrews, and it's got a place for water. Because water is very important for our baby chicks when they start to grow. And then I have feed in a sack. I'm not going to open it, but it kind of looks like little tiny seeds and grain that the baby chicks will peck at. And then we still need to keep them warm, even if they're inside the house. So this is a heat lamp. So what it would do is I would plug it in and I'd hang it so it hangs above the box. And so just provides a warm space, kind of like the sun does for us outside. This would do the same thing inside that box. Now, if I had baby chicks that would hatch, or if you were in the classroom, you would take the baby chicks out of the incubator when they're dry and fluffy. And then when several have hatched. If you only have one that's hatched, and then the next day you have one, that's okay to leave the baby chick in the incubator for up to 2 days because it's been having the food and water from inside the incubator. Now, if you're also in the classroom, what might you want to do with those baby chicks once they're inside the box? You might maybe want to play with them, want to pick them up, want to pet them. Ultimately, the adult is in charge of those baby chicks. So you would have to make sure to ask before you did that, because baby chicks can run very fast right when they're born, and then they can peck at your hand. They might kind of pinch your hand, and it might kind of scare you a little bit. So we just always want to make sure that if we touch the eggs or the baby chicks, we'd wash our hands. So I'm going to wash my hands after I'm done with our presentation today. And I apologize that this experiment didn't work out. I really wish I had some chicks for you guys to see, but I will share those links with your teachers to hopefully share with you, so you can see some baby chicks hatch. And then I'll also share Calvin's candling video so that you can see what I was talking about with the quitters, the winners, and the yolkers. Since we really only saw yolkers, I didn't show you all 18 eggs because they were all yolkers. And just know that that does happen. And I hope you guys have a good rest of your day and a good weekend.